I think we are live.
Live.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon.
Hi, everyone.
It's Katie and Joe from Katie Malik Interiors. We have a slight delay, but we were just discussing what we want to actually share with you this afternoon. We said that we would talk about how to approach designing open plans. Because we are designing quite a few at the moment, and we thought this is actually a pretty current subject.
Yeah.
A lot of our clients seem to want to have open plan living spaces, so maybe we can start from the basics just to shed some light on the matter. Because no one these days actually asks us for enclosed kitchens, separate dinings and living rooms, especially if they're doing any changes to the layout and extending.
And even if they do ask us for a closed kitchen, we often see the potential to how great it would be open, and once we make that suggestion, they get quite excited, don't they?
Exactly, yes. It seems to be very trendy to have open plans in homes in particular, and even in apartments actually. A lot of new builds have amazing open plan spaces, so kitchen, dining and living room.
I think that especially here in the UK, we often have very lots of smaller rooms. Correct. And people are beginning to see, we're all beginning to see the potential of opening it all up and making it feel like a much bigger space, even though you've got the same usage as when it was closed.
Actually, the usage changes. Well, the usage changes. The how the space is used changes. Yeah. Because actually, although internal walls they're not particularly thick, still by adding them all up, you're actually gaining the space. Although open plans are not always the best way to go, most of the time they are. So meaning not 100% of the time you should always have an open plan, but very often they do work. They do work better, provided they are actually designed correctly. Thank you, Ola, for a thumbs up. Yes, so this is what we wanted to start from. How to approach it. So where do you start when you want to have an open plan living, dining and kitchen, or actually should I say kitchen, dining, living?
Yeah.
In fact. So we were just chatting, where do you actually start?
Right, yeah. And we think the best place to start is with the kitchen. Yes. Looking at how the light comes into the space, where you would position the kitchen, and how it would fit into the flow of the room. There's a lot of building to do when it comes to the kitchen, so that's the best place to start.
Exactly. And when we design kitchens, what we start from is basically obviously questions on how the space is going to be utilized and what is actually needed. Because every family, every person has different requirements when it comes to their kitchens. So someone might want to have 2 ovens, another person might need 3 ovens because they do a lot of baking, for example. Some people are fine with ovens without the microwave functions, want to have a separate microwave. Some are fine with that. So there's a lot of requirements. Also the sizes of fridge, freezers, the types of cooking they do, the sizes of sinks, taps, and all sorts of things that we need to consider, and how many people actually are in the space at a given time. Cooking.
And another thing with kitchens within a living space is it is part of your living space. It is part of that beautiful aesthetic. So we were just discussing this earlier, is that mostly you would, I would say always actually, need everything to be integral. So you've got a beautiful cabinet in front of it, as opposed to a freestanding fridge. You don't really want that in your living space.
No, you don't want to have a sit on the sofa and see a fridge.
No, so you want everything to be very streamlined, which might be different if you had a separate kitchen where you close the door. It might be more utilitarian than
precisely
than that.
So very important to actually consider what you do in the kitchen, how you do it, what you actually need, A lot of our clients opt for drawers these days instead of units, so a lot of pull-outs. Drawers are a great way of actually organizing your items, and very easy access as well.
Yeah, and easy to see. You can actually, you're not when you're pulling out the drawer, you see everything almost that's in the drawer, especially
if you are organized. Hold on. Exactly, you have to be organized.
Yeah, you do.
That comes,
But still, cupboard things can get lost at the back.
Exactly, whereas with drawers, not so much. But
amazing what I discovered at the back of my cupboard.
Well, I managed to hide some incredible things in the back of one of my drawers. So you never know.
I don't think we'll ask.
So yeah, kitchen, very important. Of course, lighting in a kitchen, super important. Most of the kitchens that were designed kind of, well, what do I say, in old days, I want to say, but it's not true. Some of the older kitchens
there, Katie.
lack actually lighting. So, of course, having a central light of some sort is great to light up the space. However, you need to think more about the task light. So where is it that you actually perform tasks? Or if you think about it, you perform tasks on a worktop. You cut, you chop, you cook, you prepare, you mix, and so on. It all happens at the worktop, sometimes on the island, if you're lucky enough to have a big enough kitchen to have an island. So usually we suggest for all kitchens to have under-mounted lights all the way. Wherever you have worktop, it needs to be lit. Yeah. That's the best way of giving you enough light. And of course, lights in the ceiling is very important. You can have decorative pendants. You can also have pendants that give out light or light up the correct area. For example, a sink. If possible, we suggest some form of lighting over the sink, because it's nice to see where you're.
Yeah, I've just had one fitted myself after years of like guessing what I was washing up.
Well, I'm not gonna ask more about that, Joe. Guess what you were.
But no, it's really nice to be able to see over the sink area.
Yes.
So I'm not that I do a lot of washing up, you understand. But yeah, it is really nice to have that, and really important to consider, especially if you are having a brand new kitchen, is to consider the lighting as one of the most important parts of it. And within a open plan living and kitchen, lighting becomes even more important, because you need some nice ambient lighting, you need some decorative lighting, and of course for the kitchen area, as Katie was saying, the task lighting.
Correct. Yes, task lighting is, I think, probably one of the most underestimated parts.
Absolutely.
Not considering the tasks, so not considering what you actually be doing in each part of the space. Yes, so that's that. We're not going to go into style or anything, because obviously, depending on the client's style, kitchens can look very, very different. Yeah. So there are so many different types of cabinets and so many different materials for worktops, and also colors and finishes. The sky is the limit.
Yeah.
So the way we depart from a point of how do you want the space to feel? What colors are you drawn to? What colors make you feel happy? What works for you?
What colours make you feel happy, Katie?
That's quite obvious. Everyone who knows me knows that.
You can see the studio is very beautifully painted.
Yeah, it's I've always been obsessed with that color. Shocker. But even I have to break it with some mustardy yellows and other shades of blue. But coming back to the colors in an open space, this is what we were discussing previously with Joe when we were preparing life for you. In an open space, it's not advisable to have completely different color schemes. So basically, because it's an open space, it has to flow, and also the color scheme has to flow. So, for example, if you are thinking about, I don't know, let's just say blue for the kitchen, having, what would go really bad? Oh, red, for example, red sofas, right, in the same open space, we would probably advise against. Unless you went for like spaceship kind of I don't know, spaceship theme or something, which is possible. You don't want to discard any options, but there are limits to, if you want the space to flow really nicely, then we need to consider that, taking that into the dining and then into the living room.
Yeah. So all your space has to flow with your lighting. Your space has to flow with your complementary colours.
Yes.
If you had too many things going on, it could end up looking really busy. So that's something to consider, is how you want the whole space to look as a colour scheme.
Exactly. Instead of thinking, I want my living room to be like this, I want my dining to be like this, my kitchen to be like this.
Yeah.
Well, that's one thing about open plans, actually. That's why I said they work most of the time in favor. However, if you want that separate scheme in every single room, open plan might not be for you.
No.
So just being mindful of what you're going to get if you go for an open plan, rather than it's just completely separate.
And would you say that when you're dining within an open plan space, because it is a sort of kitchen, dining, living area, would you say that the sort of dining area becomes more of a it's a little bit less formal than a formal dining room? You can go a little bit more casual and funky.
Exactly. However, it's still possible to have it kind of as part of, formal dining if you have friends over. But yeah, it's definitely less formal than having a formal dining room, so dedicated area just for dining. And yeah, the next thing actually we're discussing, so kitchen first, then dining, important because it's important to consider how many people you're going to have.
Yeah.
So very often when we take briefs from our clients, we ask them how many people you'd like to sit on daily basis, and then maximum capacity, how many people you want the space to hold. Very often it's something between like 8 and 10. So I think people entertain quite a lot these days. They do. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that becomes part of the kitchen.
And that whole open living makes that a lot easier sometimes, because you can fit more people into the space. And
it's nice also when you're, it depends how you want to entertain as well, but it's a nice idea to be able to have a conversation with your guests while you're entertaining.
So important.
So open plan gives you that possibility. Which a closed plan doesn't. So you're just kind of in the kitchen and you're moving in and out.
It's that whole thing where everybody tries to cram in the kitchen for the party because that's where
we
the
all
host
know that. We've all been there at times.
So it's nice having the open plan, because you can still be in the kitchen but be in a nice comfy space too.
Exactly. So dining really important. Also, obviously for some plans, it's easier to have part of the dining area built in. So what we mean by this is built-in, either a bench or a built-in bench or some sort of built-in seating, in order to save the space. So if the space is precious, then this is what we would offer. So we wouldn't necessarily say, okay, have a table with chairs all around, because the space couldn't take it, for example. So that's one thing also to consider. That's very often some form of built-in solutions if it's an open plan kitchen, dining, living.
Yeah, and the possibilities are infinite, aren't there? We've come up with all sorts of different ways of integrating the dining table into an island. And it can be really fun to try and make it work, and really funky, and it comes out beautifully. And it's space saving, because you're actually building sometimes a bench into the back of an island or something. Space saving,
but also you're introducing like an interest point to the design, and also you're introducing another texture, another finish, which is lovely. Because very often a bench would either have cushions, or it would be something that is permanently upholstered. So it's definitely beneficial for the scheme to have that. And last but not least is the living part, living zone of that open space, which it's last but not least important, because obviously we need to consider how many people would typically sit there, and how the space would be used.
Also, like, because we're just working on a scheme right now, aren't we? And the living space of the open plan is actually going to be an occasional living space.
So it's not going to be formal.
We would always ascertain from the client, is this going to be your actual sitting room, or is this just going to be your occasional family movie night, or while you're preparing dinner sitting area?
Exactly. So we have we have 3 projects now that have that kind of open plan configuration, and they're all different.
They're all using it differently, aren't
they? Exactly, which is fascinating, and it's great for us because it really pushes us to think about different solutions. And we always design for our clients. Obviously, it's not a copy paste job that all open plans are the same, because it's always function driven. Function and kind of like, I would say, desire driven, because if you have certain desires, if you want, how you want the space to work, that's going to drive the design. And because people have different desires and different goals, that means that all designs are very, very different. So we just wanted to show you something very, very quickly. Something that we're working on. So because we're not in front of the computer today, we're in front of a great wall. I'm just gonna show you from the iPad and just gonna explain. So this is I think you can see it now. So this is the part of the design that we're actually developing now. So you see I have a little sketch there. We have more sketches for that space, but this is basically an open plan. Kitchen, dining, living. So these clients, for example, wanted a few more ovens that we typically do. And dining was really, really important as well. So we can see that here we've proposed, am I going to be able to hold it? We've proposed actually like a bench here instead. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Joe. We've proposed a bench here. And maybe we can bring it a little bit closer. Yes, you can see. Thank you. So a bench here with a table that actually extends. So typically it would be for a family of 4, so they could sit here, or they could sit on the bench. But it extends and it can actually take up to 12 people, which is quite a lot, quite a nice number. Just going to show you a few more views. As you can see, the bench is here. So really it's like a U-shape kitchen.
And this client, they always entertain at home, and they have a very big family that come around most Sundays, and they have lots of children. So we decided on the bench because you can get lots of little people sitting along that bench.
Exactly, yes, exactly. And this is just a view, a little bit of the dining and the little space behind, which is a living. So that's the casual living that we were talking about a little bit earlier. So there's going to be a really lovely built-in. It's just like a sofa bench, actually. It's not just a sofa. It's a sofa bench. It's a combination of a sofa and a bench. So you see, again, we're kind of thinking outside of the box and how to maximize the space without cluttering it too much. And also because the clients had to drop the idea of having a built-in bench and window, we still wanted to bring that back and make her happy. So we kind of design it so it flows with the windowsill, which we think is quite clever.
It'd be lovely to be able to sit there on a rainy day and just look out and be able to have that light coming in still.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another view. So if you were standing in a kitchen, this would be a view. So you would see your lounge and your dining space, which is quite exciting. And you can see this is the dining part from the kitchen, and that's the living part. So it all flows really nicely. And in terms of the finishes, we have like finishes at the bottom here. It's also quite consistent, like we did say before. You can't just come up with a completely different scheme for your living room in an open plan. Although in 2017 I worked on a project which was an open plan, but the living room was tiny bit separated, you can say. No, I'm kind of contradicting myself now, but the layout was such that it allowed a slightly different color scheme. So we just made it more grey blue, whereas the open plan was really, really Scandi, so like white with wood, and accent of green.
It was gorgeous.
So still as many projects, as many possibilities. Yeah, is there anything else that we wanted to discuss
when it comes just what about flooring within the space?
Oh, that's a very good point.
So would you say to consider, you know, the flooring as being one whole piece of flooring to make it all very much a sort of a space that looks like one space?
I would say most of the time, yes.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Again, like that project from 2017, we actually matched wood, engineered wood flooring to wood effect tiles. So they were as close as possible visually, but completely different material. And that's fine. Now for a project in Virginia that we're working, we're actually going to have the same flooring throughout, but for the kitchen, because the client, splashes quite a lot.
Yeah.
So she says.
She's worried about the water, isn't she?
Exactly. We're kind of like, and because of the layout as well, I think it all depends on the layout, because every project is so different. Really, sometimes you can have multiple possibilities. But for this one, we're actually using between an island and basically it's between the kitchen and an island, where's the two most splashy kitchen island.
Yeah.
Basically the row of units and an island. We are using tiles, and we're going to form like a rug.
Yes, it's going to look like a tile rug.
Precisely. So that is another solution. But yeah, for most of open plan living spaces, you would use the same floor finish because you don't want to break it. I mean, you can add a rug in the living area, something softer, and also to help to zone the space. But most of the time you wouldn't experiment too much, because then it becomes choppy.
Yes, that's what I was wondering. But
yeah.
When I first joined you, Katie, you were doing an amazing kitchen floor where underneath the table,
yes, in Cambridge,
those
Cambridge, I remember.
amazing tiles by a company you use quite a lot, by
Target,
yeah.
yes.
And it was all like these sort of like triangular shaped tiles of different colours under the table.
Just under the table, just to mark it. And basically, because the clients actually they love colour.
Yeah.
And they wanted lots of bright colours in the space. So that kitchen is very, very bold. It has green worktop, green splashback of the same material. And then mustardy yellow chairs, and then that area. Yeah. Only that area.
With 3 different colour tiles, which...
Yeah, I think there were 5 different.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry, I couldn't
remember. A
Yeah.
lot of them. Yeah, a lot of them just to create that kind of pattern, and also introduce color, so pick up different shades on the kitchen. And
it's a great way to get that sort of cozy look of having a carpet underneath the dining table without horrible like food gathering on a carpet. You can just wash it and wipe it just like the floor. Yeah. So it really, I thought it was stunning. It's a very good point,
Joe. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah. I completely forgot about flooring. How could I? Yes, but flooring is very, very important. I think, is there anything else that we should cover? So we talked about the layout, obviously very important. We talked about the lights.
Yeah, the kitchen.
We talked about the flooring.
No,
I think we've covered it pretty much.
If you have any questions, just ask us. Exactly. If we've forgotten anything, we'd love to talk to you about it.
You can comment even after. If some of our clients or followers said that they wouldn't be able to listen during the lunch. Hi, Martha. So yeah, they said that they wouldn't be able to watch during the lunch, but of course video will be available on our Facebook page. And if you have any questions, you can either send us a direct message or you can comment under the video. And oh my god, now I'm laughing because you remember what Lauren said, my video. Apparently it's the way I say video.
Video.
That's hilarious. That was something that was pointed out by Lawrence Llewellyn Bowen when we opened It's So Travel. What was it? Oh my god, it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that was fun.
Can't believe it. It's been already 2 weeks.
Yeah.
big shout out to It's So Travel. We popped in, we checked everything. They're doing super well.
Yeah.
If you haven't been in the Grafton Centre and you haven't seen the space, do go. It still looks gorgeous.
and also thanks Lawrence Llewellyn-Bowen for being so complimentary.
Yes,
We are
yes,
really
thank you
pleased
so
with
much.
that.
Yeah. I think everyone really liked the space.
Yeah.
No one really wanted to leave, which is a
Yeah.
huge compliment for us because everyone felt really at home. The lighting is amazing. What Ellie from Studio EG did, absolutely fantastic. And all our suppliers and contractors, we're still very happy. I think I feel like I'm still on a high from that project.
Yeah, it was so much fun.
from the creative
Such a great
high.
opportunity.
Of course.
Yeah,
Great opportunity, great clients, great project, and we're really happy that we could be part of the new initiative in the Grafton Centre, because
Yes.
what the Grafton Centre are doing to actually revive the centre is amazing, giving these fantastic opportunities to local businesses, and also really thinking about the usage, because they've just opened 2 amazing communal spaces. I mean, one is just like for everyone, and another one you can actually, I think, pay hourly to work there. But they're so full of biophilia, and they're really, really lovely. So well done, Grafton Centre, and thank you for reviving the centre in Cambridge. It really makes a huge difference to the city.
it really does. I think that people are beginning to think about the aesthetic of
Yes.
where the community is spending their time, and it is a place now, isn't it, where
It
you
is a
can
place,
come.
yeah.
It's not just to go shopping; it's a meeting place. There's
Yeah.
beautiful little cafes and
Oh yeah, there are some places opening.
yes.
Like, so there are really cool places to sit down on the first floor, but also ground
Beautiful.
floor. We had a
Beautiful.
lunch there
gorgeous.
when It's So Travel opened, and there are also lovely local businesses around, like food wise. I mean, there's a lot, but the new ones are also really lovely, and we can see that there's been some thought put in the design, which
Definitely.
makes us really happy
Yeah.
to see that people actually think about it, and it's not just about putting a few chairs on a table, but
No.
actually thinking about making the space nice and inviting.
Yeah.
So yeah, we departed a little bit from our open plans. As you can see, we're still and my battery just said it's low, so it's time to go. And yeah, okay, we're back to the lights.
Just for a minute.
Yeah, just for a few seconds. Thank you again for watching us. We strive to make these videos as regular as possible, but because we are super busy, which is great. Thank you all our clients for keeping us busy.
Thank you.
But yeah, we're doing our best. If there's anything that you'd like us to talk about to the next live video, please send us a message. Let us know, because we can talk about anything you want. But if we don't hear from you, we'll just talk about what we feel is the most current topic. Exactly, what we want. And just because we're doing so many open plan kitchens, we thought, why don't we talk about this? This is very current. But if you feel there's anything more current, or if you'd like to go deeper into anything, do let us know, and we'll be very happy to accommodate that. Yep, don't be shy. All right, then, thank you so much for watching. If you've been watching live, Martha, thank you so much for watching. I know that Ola watched us before. Thank you again for your support. But if you haven't watched us live, I hope you've enjoyed the video anyway. I know Mel will be watching us later. Mel, I hope this is helpful to you as well. And yeah, until the next one.
Yes.
Hope you stay warm on a rainy day in Cambridge, or wherever else you are.
Yes.
And watching us this afternoon. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.